Good afternoon. Welcome. You are tuned into the Labor Forum here at WRFG 89.3 FM in Atlanta. My name is Diane Mathowitz. I'm a retired auto worker and co-host of this program. And I'm so pleased that you are listening, whether it's on your radio, on your computer, on your mobile device, and also you can always see our programs on our YouTube channel, the Labor Forum YouTube channel, where you also would be able to access all our past programs, both in visual and audio forms. The opinions that are expressed on this program may not necessarily be those of the Board of Directors, staff, or volunteers here at WRFG. I do want to thank everybody who contributed to the Fall Fund Drive here at WRFG. As you know, we are a station that receives no money, would not take money from any big corporations, government agencies. We are an independent voice here in Atlanta, but we express news and information and analysis of world events, what's happening to working people around the world, and we think that's important that there be such a voice. And so we do thank all of you who were able to contribute to our fund drive. It is how we are able to continue broadcasting 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year at 100,000 watts. And seated next to me is Paul Mclennan. He is a member of Transit Union 732. Hi, Paul.
Hi, Diane.
And we're really always happy to be here on Monday. It's always a little hectic. I myself just have come back from, literally almost just got off a plane from a conference in New York City where I did meet this incredible young woman, and we hope to have her on the program soon. She is the president of a UE local in Burlington, Vermont, where amazingly enough, Ku Klux Klan literature was placed at the doorsteps of black families in that town. And the United Electrical Workers Union held a press conference, and they are forming worker defense teams to make sure that no harm comes to these families in Burlington, Vermont, and that's what we'll be talking about as soon as we can get Elizabeth arranged and scheduled for a call. I'm going to start off again today with our headline news. On November 4th, a plastic bag manufacturing company plant in Lahore, Pakistan, collapsed, killing at least 21 workers and injuring dozens more. Some 150 to 200 workers, including child laborers, were in the building when it fell down. During the rescue effort, voices were reported coming from under the rubble, and relatives who rushed to the scene said they had received calls from those trapped underneath the debris. I am sorry to say that I don't have any more information about how many others were rescued and how many more have died. But as of November 4th, it was 21 dead and dozens injured. Workers at the factory had told management about cracks in the production floors following the 7.5 magnitude earthquake that hit the country on October 26th. Workers, this factory runs 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and they do not have a union. It is located in an export processing zone set up to maximize foreign investment and foreign trade with the minimum of worker rights allowed. Pakistan has not signed the International Labor Organization Convention, which recognizes the rights of workers to a safe and healthy work environment, at least on paper. This is far from the only time Pakistan's working class has suffered tremendous death on the job. In 2012, in this same city of Lahore, more than 300 workers died in a fire at a textile factory. Also on November 4th, at a press conference, the president of the California Faculty Association, Jennifer Egan, announced that 94% of the members had voted to strike if a fair agreement could not be reached with the state university system management. On November 17th, a couple days from now, the CFA, along with union, student, and community allies, will hold a march and rally at the CSU Chancellor's office, where the Board of Trustees will be holding a regular meeting open to the public. The California Faculty Association represents 26,000 tenured and tenure-track faculty lecturers, librarians, counselors, and coaches from all 23 campuses, from the southern part of the state, San Diego, all the way to the north, Humboldt State. Issues include stagnated wages, as well as the overall direction of higher education, with student debt increasing from higher tuition and fees, overcrowded classrooms, and fewer opportunities for working class students and youth of color to access advanced education. My last headline comes from November 2nd. The Georgia Supreme Court on November 2nd upheld the City of Atlanta's pension reforms championed by Mayor Kasim Reed. The city changed its pension program, forcing city workers to pay more into the pension plan without increasing the retirement benefit. Excuse me. This unanimous decision by the court has broad implications for workers across Georgia and the country where cities have underfunded pensions. A class action lawsuit was filed 2 years ago charging that the city ordinance requiring the workers to pay 5% more into their retirement plan was a violation of the terms agreed upon in their contract and therefore was unconstitutional. The suit claimed that if the workers were required to pay an additional 5% of their wages for their retirement, the benefit would also have to increase. Mayor Reed's position was that the city would be liable for tens of millions of dollars in restitution if the increase had been ruled illegal, and would have to lay off hundreds of workers and cut services. One just has to ask, how come the city can come up with tens and tens of millions of taxpayer dollars to ease the expense of billionaire developers to build stadiums and expensive housing, but can't meet its contractual obligations to the workers who keep the city functioning? And that's our news headlines for today. Paul will bring us some labor history.
Thanks, Diane. 80 years ago today, on November 9th, 1935, the Committee for Industrial Organizations was founded by 8 unions who opposed the American Federation of Labor's refusal to organize industrial workers. The CIO was founded just 1 month after the AFL's annual convention, where the call for industrial unionism was rejected. A number of unions came to the conclusion that they would not survive if the great majority of workers in basic industry remained unorganized. Industrial unionism is the organization of all workers in a given industry under one union. The AFL believed in craft unionism, where workers are organized according to specific trades within an industry. Instead of organizing all auto workers into a single union, for example, the AFL would rather have had 40 unions in the factory, each divided by the specific job one did. This fracturing undermined the ability of labor to act in a unified way as a radical force for change. The AFL excluded people it deemed undesirable: women, African Americans, Asians, and the masses of immigrants working in America's huge factories. It failed to challenge racial wage differentials or open up its membership significantly to African Americans. Especially in the South, it was unwilling to organize the unorganized. As members of craft unions, they concerned themselves mainly with controlling labor markets by excluding anyone who was unskilled and anyone who was not white or male. The 1930s witnessed a tremendous upsurge in labor organizing. In 1934, a strike wave spread across the country, with the Teamsters leading a general strike in Minneapolis, and the West Coast branches of the International Longshoremen's Association leading one in the San Francisco Bay Area. The West Coast Longshore strike had a profound impact on black workers. The West Coast ILA opened up its ranks to black workers, a point which was not lost on the black community nor other sections of organized labor. Black workers went on to play an active role in the strike. The AFL had long rejected any serious moves to organize black workers. The support of black workers was critical to CIO organizing in most basic industries. The efforts of the United Mine Workers to organize the Alabama coal fields, for example, were dependent on black miners who made up 60% of the membership of the locals organized there in 1934. The industrial union movement transformed the U.S. labor movement. In the process of this transformation, black workers left their mark. Historian Michael Honey, in his book Southern Labor and Black Civil Rights, said, "All those who wanted change realized that without the organization of the industrial working class, economically and as voters, major social reforms could not move ahead, particularly in the South. The CIO advanced an entirely different approach to organizing that was more along the lines of a mass movement, where entire industries were confronted by organizing campaigns. This is similar to what we are seeing now with the Fight for 15 in the fast food, home care, and child care industries. The CIO would have a major impact on American history in coming years, organizing some of the biggest workforces in America, including steel workers, auto workers, rubber workers, and electrical workers. Among its early successes were the Flint sit-down strike, the battles to organize the steel plants, and eventually organizing Ford in 1941. By 1937, it had organized roughly 4 million workers under its banner. In 1938, the CIO held its first convention and changed its name to the Congress of Industrial Organizations with 32 member unions. By 1945, the CIO's membership had risen to 6 million. In 1946, the CIO launched Operation Dixie as a campaign to organize the South. The struggle to organize black workers could not be separated from the political struggle against apartheid segregation. This freedom fight had the potential to transform Southern society. The defeat of Operation Dixie was a tragedy, and this defeat was partly due to the CIO being effectively neutralized by the passage of the Taft-Hartley Act in 1947 with its so-called right-to-work laws, and post-war McCarthyism in the 1950s, which led to the expulsion of radicals and communists who had served as such effective organizers. By 1955, differences between the AFL and CIO were small, so the CIO then merged with the AFL. The CIO demonstrated the power of radically democratic, bottom-up organizing. It proved that the labor movement could not grow without organizing black workers and without mobilizing significant support in the black community. Many dedicated CIO organizers were guided by a vision of a just society that placed labor at the center of progressive change. The CIO attempted to represent more than just its own members. It fought to represent the interests of the majority of people in this country.
Thank you so much, Paul. And we're going to have our two guests who are here from AFSCME, and we'll be talking about the fight for 15 for decent wages among county workers right after this message. Please stay tuned.
WRFG would like to thank all of you who pledged during our recent on-air fundraising
40
drive.
seconds.
We pride ourselves with knowing how much you
Future
appreciate
shares.
our diverse programming. We want to remind and encourage those of you who have not yet fulfilled your pledge to do so as soon as possible. Your monetary support is very crucial to maintaining our 24-hour broadcast programming schedule. Please send your check, money orders, or walk in your cash to 1083
So I can just adjust the
Austin Avenue,
sensitivity of the mic,
Northeast
so if you just
Atlanta,
talk towards it, I'll turn it up depending on
30307.
who's speaking.
Again, thank you so much for supporting your favorite community radio, WRFG 89.3 FM, your station for progressive information and handpicked music.
We're back. We're so happy that you're tuned in and time to hear our two guests. Hi, Gregg Fann.
How you doing, Diane?
And thank you so much for bringing Tabitha Hicks with you. And I called you because I saw that you are engaged in a campaign. Unbelievable. There could be county workers who do not receive a minimum wage of $15 an hour. So I want the two of you really, because tomorrow, of course, is a national day. There'll be actions all across the country supporting the right and the logic of paying people a minimum of $15 an hour, which still, frankly, in many cities, won't cut the mustard. But anyway, can you tell us, first, let's introduce Tabitha. Hi.
Hi Diane, how are you?
Good, and this is your first time here at WRFG, and so we're real happy to see your
Yes.
smiling face here. So what is it that you do for the county? What kind of job do you have?
I am a call center health associate for the Fulton County WIC Women, Infant, and Children Program, which in short is the WIC program, where we provide food formula and things like that for pregnant moms, breastfeeding moms, non-breastfeeding moms, infant, and children.
How long have you been doing that?
Roughly 5 years, a little over 5 years now.
All right, and Gregg, what's your job?
I am the executive director for Ashby Local 3, representing Fulton and DeKalb County workers. And of course, the Fight for 15 is dear to our hearts because we have many single women heads of household who make less than $15 an hour, less than $31.5, which would be what $15 an hour would equate to. And many of our single women heads of household make $23,000 or $24,000 annually a year. And that's before benefits. And after benefit, what they take home is some strategy.
So in other words, that's the wage, but then you have to take out
No, sir.
retirement, health care, pension, all these other
All
things.
these other things, yes.
All right, can you, maybe you know this, how many people, numerically, would you say out of the county, Fulton County workforce, have what I would consider a poverty wage?
I would say we have a workforce of 5,000 employees. Better. Out of 5,000 employees, I would venture to say that at least 2,500 would be less than $15 an hour.
Almost 50%.
Almost 50% of the workforce. And we just did a pay class study that proved that. So these ladies and gentlemen work for the county, work hard, and we've talked to commissioners, we've talked to the county manager about raising it up to $15 an hour, at least give people a decent wage so they'll feel decent about when they go home taking care of their family. Like Tabitha, she's a single mother, but she can tell her own story. But there's many, many single mothers, heads of household in the county that don't make that kind of money.
You know, sometimes you hear information on this program that is just not hardly believable, that a city and a county as wealthy as Fulton County, and we've had so many programs on here about all the tax money that goes to all these, I don't even want to use a word like frivolous, unnecessary, but mostly the breaks that are given, the money that's given to people, and I'll mention these billionaires, sports owners, and other projects that if the city had money to throw away, but how it is that they can't even pay the people who keep the county going enough to live on. So Tabitha, does this mean that a lot of people actually have two jobs?
Well, I know myself, I'm in school, I'm back in school pursuing my PhD, and I have 2 master's degrees. So definitely you would definitely have to have a second job. If not, I don't know how, I really don't understand how you can support yourself. I have a great support system. Without that support system, I wouldn't be able to survive. I have a child, I am single. I can't afford to put him in any extracurricular activities, anything of that nature, and my child is on Medicaid. My child is on Peach Care for Kids, so he qualifies for that, and I myself qualify for food stamps and things of that nature. So without those type of subsidies, I wouldn't be able to provide a quality life, for my child.
So Gregg,
You know the sad thing about this. No, really, you know the sad thing about it.
Yeah.
And as we talk,
it's more than sad, it's criminal.
It is
criminal.
But we talk about it, and we say to them, okay, you don't want to pay them. You say, well, they can get Peach Care, they can get Tanner, they can get that. Those are taxpayer dollars too. You say you want people off of government subsidy, but you put them on subsidy, you're still paying tax dollars. Pay the money on the front end, you don't have to pay it on the back end.
And not only that, people have a dignified job.
They do.
And they're not feeling when they go to work that they are just disrespected.
Well, I tell you, they do feel disrespected. And I would say this, and one of the things that Commissioner Ellis, and I'm going to call his name on the
Please
radio,
do.
Commissioner Ellis did this past meeting. He paraded a group of ladies with some program that he was touting as being a great program that he is sponsoring to help these women get jobs so that they can make decent living. But yet, not supporting the women that work for the county, the wealthiest county in the state of Georgia, that you can't bring their salary up to $31,500. It makes absolutely, positively no sense at all.
And I'm going to say something as a taxpayer and a person who wants to receive the services. I certainly would not expect somebody who makes so little money, who probably has to have a second job, who's stressed out about, are they going to be able to pay their rent? Are they going to be able to pay the electricity bill? Has their refrigerator got any food in it to be able to keep their mind on their job? Especially if they're working 2 jobs, no sleep, and all the stress. It just is logical that if you pay the workers a decent salary, they will be able to both serve the public better.
See, Tabitha has a story that she can tell you about one of her coworkers that I think that's very interesting. A young lady that worked with them just making this little money. Can you tell her that story, Tabitha?
Yes, it's my coworker. She sits directly across from me. Every morning she comes in and she's crying because she lost her husband in a tragic accident, and she has 2 daughters, one that goes to Spelman and the other daughter that's in high school. And right now her bills are behind. We try to work together to get her bills caught up, and we're still trying. She's crying constantly, and I do as much as I possibly can to assist, but this to no avail. She's still behind in her bills. And she, like I said, she lost her husband, and she can't, at this point in time, put the effort to even get a part-time job. But she's been looking, and it's hard to find a part-time job when you have a full-time job that requires as much as we have to offer, because we answer the phones 24/7, and it's hard.
I had a question, Greg. I know you wear a lot of hats.
I do.
And one of them is with the Coalition of Black Trade Unions.
Absolutely.
And can you connect Dr. King and Memphis and sanitation workers and AFSCME today and the fight that you're still fighting?
I would tell you it's the same fight. Nothing has changed. Everything has still remained the same. New faces, different time, but everything is still the same. We're going back in time. We're going back in time. It's for the least. The rich is getting richer. The poor are getting poorer. There's no middle class. Dr. King fought to make sure that people like Tabitha, myself, and others would have a decent job, decent wages. But it's getting so bad, Paul, is that now as we connected, government jobs, people took those jobs because of the benefit. Salary had never been that great, but they took the job for the benefit. But as you know, across this country, they're taking benefits away from government workers. The county now is saying they want to cut back 2% on the budget, laying off people. They want to lay off people. They tell each department to cut your budget by 2% and only on the backs of people. So that means people are going to get laid off. That means that people who are not making any money are going to get laid off. But the people that's making the money, the 100,000, the 200,000, the 90,000, they'll still be employed. But these people who ain't making nothing, they're going to be laying them off. I mean, how ludicrous is that? You say you want the service. You say you want the service. The people making $100,000 will not be providing you any service. None. But the people who provide the service make absolutely no money. So you asked me how the connectivity thing is still the same, and we must fight, and we got to continue to fight, and our voice got to be heard. And that's why I'm going to be at that rally tomorrow, because I want my voice heard. Tracy know it. She heard me. She was outside the room, and she heard my voice. But we're going to fight. Because it is just that important that we stand up and let the people know across this country we're not going to take it anymore. These people cannot continue to survive and live on this little money. You want to stop crime? Pay people. You want to stop all the things that happen? Pay people. Stop taking all and giving people the crumbs that's left. And sometimes they don't even want to give you the crumbs that's left.
So we, maybe you could give the details again for our listeners. We've had so many different kinds of low-wage workers on this program, and we have really been concentrating on it because I think most people don't realize that what a huge percentage of people who supposedly have jobs make so little. And it's one of the main reasons, for this growing inequality between these super wealthy, small super wealthy elite, and really almost everybody else.
And the largest income gap in this city in the country. We have the largest gap.
I believe it. I work with them. I see them making these $200,000, $150,000. They retire from one job on retirement, and they come to work on another job, and their salaries are still at $100,000, $200,000. But these people, this is their only job, and they ain't making $31,500. I mean, tomorrow is going to be a rally, 5 p.m. In front of City Hall at 5 p.m. That's 68 Mitchell Street. If you're listening, come on out and let your voice be heard. If you don't have a loud mouth like Gregg Fann, just come anyhow and let your presence be known, because we need to help people like Tabitha and others to get their salary, a decent salary, so they can take care of their children. They can get all peach care town and all that. This young lady got all these degrees, and look at what she's making. I mean, come on, let's get real. I mean, it's sad, but it's true. It's a real truth reality, and we must fight and stand up for those, the least of them, because the Bible says, whatever you do unto the least of them, you do also unto me. So remember that wealth, that one day there's a day of reckoning, and you're going to have to stand before a just judge.
We have like 1 minute left. Tabitha, you want to close us out with some words about you and your co-workers and what you deserve?
Well, I'm sure we'll definitely be out tomorrow supporting the rally to push for, not only for my co-workers, but for some of the other co-workers in Fulton County who have the same fight that I have, who have the same struggle that I have, who want to provide that quality of life for not just their family, but maybe even for their parents or some of their retired counterparts. So I will be standing with Mr. Fann and in support of the rally, fighting for the 31.5 and the union.
And we always say that on this program, that we want a $15 minimum wage, but if the workers don't have a union,
Right.
so that they
Yes.
can not only keep it, but grow it.
Right.
All right, I want to thank you so much. So listeners, you have been hearing the exuberant voice of Gregg Fann of AFSCME and Tabitha Hicks, who is a Fulton County worker. We will see them both tomorrow at the rally on this National Day of Strike Action and rallying all across the country. Hundreds of cities, all different kinds of workers will be out tomorrow. And here in Atlanta, the rally starts at 5 o'clock at City Hall downtown. Thank you both so much.
Thank you for
Thank you.
having us.
You're so welcome. We always want you to come back. So we'll have another message, and then we're going to have our next guest, which we're also very excited about. We've got people, our favorite people in the show today.